Revelation Unraveled, Part 25, The Great Tribulation Continued. The ministry of these two olive trees undoubtedly begins about the same time as the appearance of Wormwood, the false prophet. The antipope and the two candlesticks will work great signs and miracles countering each other, in much the same way as Moses and the Pharaoh's magicians. Most analysts consider Enoch and Elijah to be the two witnesses, who, according to the Old Testament, never died, but were translated. The Old Testament describes Elijah as being taken to heaven in a chariot of fire, and that Enoch did not die but was taken away by God. The prophet Elijah will probably counter the false prophet in all things spiritual. Enoch will serve as a foil in the temporal sphere to the beast from the abyss. The powers these two candlesticks manifest of stopping the rain and turning water to blood is very significant because fresh potable drinking water will be almost non-existent. The one-world anti-system will be frustrated in gaining total control and allegiance from all humanity if the ability to provide the first and most basic need of all life is in the hands of the two prophets. The world leaders, all of whom by this time are communist, although they will avoid that term, preferring one world or world union or some such platitudinous euphemism instead, send many assassins to kill the true prophets, but all fail, just as they failed to kill Pope John Paul II. At last, the worst of the world dictators, the man who will assume the mantle of the Antichrist, will realize only he has the power to destroy God's witnesses, and he goes to Jerusalem to confront them personally. When he succeeds, the whole world recognizes him as their false Messiah. The murder of these two witnesses solves the government's final problem, and thus completes the second woe, which began in R2 with the surprise attack beginning World War III. They are the last organized opposition to the evil world empire, and also the last martyrs to go to heaven. The total number of martyrs necessary to complete world history is now filled up. Soon we will be introduced to a new category of martyr, envisioned by St. John, whom he will call blessed, which means they will return with Christ for the millennium. The next section, B5, finally provides a concise picture of the two beasts, the Antichrist and the false prophet, although St. John has already referred to them several times. Now that the two witnesses are gone, the two beasts will be able to reveal themselves to the world in all their evilty. The two witnesses preached for 1,260 days. The two beasts rule for 42 months. Together they span the entire 7-year tribulation period. B5, the two beasts. And I saw a beast coming out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 diadems, and upon his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like to a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his own strength and great power. And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the earth was in admiration after the beast. Sections B4 and B5 are another paired grouping that gives credence to the new ROC text reordering, St. John's cryptogram. B4 describes in detail the two witnesses who stand up to the one-world tyranny. And B5 describes in detail the two principal villains of this evil establishment, the Antichrist and the false prophet anti-pope, who wage war against the two witnesses and eventually kill them. This marks the second great turning point in Revelation. When the second woe ends, the greatest secret of the secret societies, the identity of the Antichrist, is revealed. Also, the Pope and his remnant church go into hiding. The raptured are removed from earth, the headquarters of the beast moves to Jerusalem, and the fierce tyranny of the Antichrist engulfs the planet. Following the murder of Enoch and Elijah by the New World conspiracy, the Antichrist will be free to reveal himself and initiate his 42-month reign as world dictator. The beast coming up out of the sea here with 7 heads and 10 horns is not the same as the world totalitarian government which will defeat decadent capitalism and move its headquarters from Moscow to Rome. The 7 heads of that beast represent 7 great world tyrannies, culminating in socialist/communism, which will become the 8th beast. The 10 heads of that beast will be the 10-nation confederation, basically the European Union, which will hand over their sovereignty and their capital, Rome, to world tyranny. This new beast from the sea is the Antichrist in person. Father Kramer, in his work, The Book of Destiny, suggests that the sea means the Mediterranean Sea, and this man of sin will come from some country which borders that body of water. He will be Jewish, but since he's from the lost tribe of Dan, his heritage may not be apparent even to himself. He is the personification of the 8th world beast and its phony leader. His 10 horns refers to all the world leaders who are subservient to him and who undoubtedly select him from their ranks to be their Führer. The diadems upon their horns indicate their positions of authority in their individual nations or regions of the world, and they all will be cast into hell, along with the Antichrist, the Antipope, and Satan. And they adored the dragon, which gave power to the beast, and they adored the beast, saying, Who is like to the beast, and who shall be able to fight with it? And there was given to it a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given to it to act 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. The 7 heads of the beast have names of blasphemy. This implies that they are the heads of the world's false religions. Both the numbers 10 and 7 are symbolic numbers, and therefore approximate. Since St. John writes that the Antichrist will have power over every tribe and people and tongue and nation, in fact, all the world's political and religious leaders will support this new world tyrant. The only exception will be our next and last Pope, Peter II. Our current and next to last Pope, Benedict XVI, who is called the Glory of the Olive by St. Malachi, will apparently be martyred, according to the third secret of Fatima, and will be replaced by an anti-pope called Wormwood by St. John. Benedict's legitimate successor, the true Pope, Peter II, will be forced into hiding, as indicated in W5, when the woman, Mary, and her remnant seed, spiritual children, flee to a desert place for protection. And it was given to him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over every tribe, and people, and tongue, and nation. And all that dwell upon the earth adored him, whose names were not written in the book of life of the Lamb, which was slain from the beginning of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that shall lead into captivity shall go into captivity. He that shall kill by the sword must be killed by the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Our next pope may not only be hidden, he may be practically unknown, since Pope Benedict XVI's illegally selected successor, the false prophet, will control the entire apparatus of the Catholic Church, from St. Peter's Basilica in Rome down to every Catholic school, university, church, hospital, seminary, convent, etc., which, as revealed in B4, will be trodden under by the Gentiles. Truly, the church will be crucified, just like her bridegroom, Jesus our Messiah. The first task for the Antichrist in his new world capital, Jerusalem, will be to try and restore the prestige of the one-world tyranny after it finally succeeds in assassinating the two witnesses, only to see them resurrected, probably in full view of television cameras, and visibly taken up to heaven. First, he may claim that the resurrection was a case of UFO alien abduction, which the millions of readers of supermarket tabloids will readily accept. But to show that he can also resurrect people, he and possibly some of the world's religious leaders will concoct an elaborate deception. One of them, that is, one of the Antichrist's blasphemous heads, will feign to be killed, and the Antichrist will bring him back to life. St. John emphasizes that this will be a phony miracle, because the religious leader will only appear to be slain, as it were. Not just tabloids, but also the mainstream media will buy into this lie and proclaim the Antichrist to be God.